Hey guys, this is Lauren, but you can call me Elle, and this is Things That Need to Be Said. It's a podcast. So today is Monday, I believe. Yeah, it is Monday. And I put a podcast out, an episode out that I had recorded, I believe it was last week. And for whatever reason, it wouldn't, well, I know the reason, it wouldn't upload. So I just put it out today. But I received a DM from a young lady who I would say we have a great connection. We vibe together well. And she said that, I should I'm paraphrasing. She mentioned me having something to say in the morning times. So I'm like, well, explain. She said, something that I can sip on. Something that I can listen to while I'm drinking my coffee. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't think I would have anything to say every morning, but this did cross my mind today. And it crosses my mind often. So I said, you know what, let me record it, put it up as an episode, and hopefully she and anybody else can listen to it, think about it, and, you know, use it or maybe not use it in their life or just give them something to think about. So I had a girlfriend who she passed away in her I believe she wasn't 35. She was either 35 or about to be 35. So let me tell you something about me. I'm not big on anniversaries of anyone's death and my family or loved ones. I don't get into anniversaries because I just feel like it's something learned and that you should mourn on the day that the person died, which didn't make sense to me. So I think I unconsciously block out when somebody dies. Like, I don't even remember how long ago Kali passed away, but I do remember Chloe was in the world, and I think her death affected me more than it probably would have before I had Chloe, because now I was a mother and she was a mother. And her son, I can't remember how old Tori was, but he was between maybe 10 and maybe 12 or 13. And what happened was Kali was she had she when she found out she had colon cancer, it was stage 4, and it had started to metastasize. And um, when she found out, it was just like it was like towards the end, and I would visit her and talk to her, and sometimes I couldn't really fully visit her because it bothered me that she hadn't told her son that she was sick. So, here he is, this young boy, only child. His mother has a terminal illness that's going to take her life sooner than later, and he didn't know. He didn't know. He wasn't given the privilege of having that information for whatever reason. Not for whatever reason. I understand she wanted to protect her son, but you're protecting your son from the inevitable, and you won't be here. So, we would talk, and I would try to push that you need to, tell him, and she wouldn't. And I saw her one week before she passed away, and she had gotten pretty small, and it really affected me. And the day that she passed away, I went to go see her before I picked Chloe up from the daycare. And when I tell you, what I saw of her will be forever tattooed in my psyche. It's tattooed on my brain. It's tattooed on my heart. Um, I never really. I know people are evil and things are evil, but you never have a face of evil. When I looked at her, I saw what evil was, because what the cancer did to her at such a young age is was unfucking believable. And I didn't cry when I didn't cry there, because I know, even though she didn't die, I knew she was, you know, She possibly could have hurt me, and I know that from experience of my father when he was sick and everybody thought he couldn't hear, and when he came out of it, he told us all what we were saying, and um, when I was crying on him right before he passed, a tear, he started to cry. So I didn't want to put that on her. I stayed strong, but once I got to the daycare to pick up Chloe, I just broke down because I'm like, God damn, what the fuck is going on? And she passed away, and it did a fucking job on her son. I think he's graduating. He graduated from high school. He might be in his first year of college, or he's about to graduate. But when I tell you, it did a job on him because he felt as though as he got older, he got counseling, and I believe that he said that he was upset that his mother didn't tell him that she was sick. He just thought she had a stomach ache. And I'll always I like I said, it's something I knew it would affect him. I felt as though he was cheated out maybe some precious time he could have had with his mother. I understand that we don't want to talk about death to our children because you know maybe they're too young, but her death, her passing definitely has aided in the way that I raised my daughter because my daughter is the only child. I have a small family. I have a mom. My father passed away. I have a stepfather. That my mom was with him, since I was 5, so I know him well. Um, and I have a younger sister, and I have aunts, and they have like 1 or 2 children. So I just think about if I die before my mother, she'll have my mother, but my mom has cancer. She has brain cancer, and she's just not the same. And then she'll have my sister, but I don't know if my sister would really, you know, I'm not gonna say that. I don't know. I just don't know if she would really have the full support that she needed if I died. And if I died, I didn't want her to be a shock. So I talk to Chloe about death a lot. Um, when I talk to her, I let her know that your father and I will not be here for long. Anything could happen to us at any given day, and I just tell her, I just talk. I mean, I give her the real. I give her the real. When I was young, I experienced my father's mother passing away, and my other grandmother, my mother's mother. She's the one who really introduced me to talking about death. Didn't make me feel like I was a fucking weirdo for asking questions about it because I feel as though the only one thing that is truly guaranteed in this life is death. So why don't we talk about it? And that's always been my approach to to most things, like on a common sense level, on like the simplest level, like how like 3 and 4 year olds ask you questions. They're like, you try to make it so complicated, but when they ask you a question, it's just like, damn, it would be so much easier if we looked through the lenses of a 3 or 4 year old when it comes to our adult lives. But yeah, I talked to her about it, and it makes me think about a whole bunch of different things, like the way we parent nowadays, how coddled children are these days. Everybody gets a trophy because they participated, and I just don't agree with any of that. Not telling your child no. I don't agree with any of that because I know that this world it's brutal. This is a brutal, brutal, brutal system that we live in, especially in this country. And I think we do a disservice to our children by not giving them the fucking real. And I just don't want my daughter to be out here crazy. Like I don't want her to be like that. It means a lot to me. So, I talk to her about certain things. I have, friends and people, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, or oh, you should let her do this, oh, you should let her do that. I think I'm pretty balanced. You know, she goes to a private school, and in that school they really is a Quaker school, and they really encourage your children to talk conflict and resolution and getting into your feelings and all of that. So she's been at that school since she's been in first grade. She's now in fourth. So sometimes when you see her, she'll be on some quote unquote white kid shit. No, mommy, I don't like that. And and I let her live. I let her live because you know I think about how we were raised for generation after generation after generation after generation, and I think that black people, we want everybody else to acknowledge that we come from slaves and slavery, but in certain aspects we don't want to acknowledge it the way that we should for the betterment of ourselves. So we beat our children, and I feel as though we beat our children because we were beat as slaves. So it was just, it's like the saying goes, the victim becomes the abuser when it comes to like women getting beat or men getting beat. I forget the fucking word of it. I'm tired. It's after 10. My eyes are hurting, so please excuse me if I don't know all the terminology. Try to decipher it for yourself. I don't know what else to tell you because I'm sleepy, but I wanted to get this out. So yeah, uh, we we were that's how we were treated. So we raise our children that way. Don't say nothing, and blah 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 blah. And I mean, I get it because sometimes when I'm giving Chloe instructions, she wants to talk it out, and I'm like, no, it's no talking because it could be a life and death situation. I might be telling you to come here to do something to save your life. We live in a fucking hood. At any point, at any random moment, a fucking somebody could be pulling out guns and shit. So, it's kind of hard for her to navigate sometimes. But yeah, I try not to beat her. For I try to give her liberties that I didn't have. But in the same aspect, she's spoiled as fuck. She gets whatever she wants. Her father and I aren't together. He's she's daddy's little girl, his only daughter, his only child, both of our only child. So he does what he should as a dad. He spoils her rotten, but I just think about, like, what if something happens to either one of us and she's out here, she's not going to be able to mourn our death with anyone. She's just out here by herself. And, I just try to be realistic with, her expectations of the world because as parents, we know nobody's going to treat our child the way we treat our child. So I just think, it's kind of arrogant to think you'll be here forever. Um, you'll be here until your child is an adult to see them through because shit happens, man. Anything can happen, and you know, I just feel like we need to learn to tell our children no and not give them everything. Make them work for the things that they get. So they can build character. And one of the parents that I think about, who I thought, man, if she wasn't the way she was, he wouldn't be the great artist that he was. And I'm talking about Ray Charles. We know in the movie when he got young, when he was young, he lost his vision, and I just commend the strength of that mother to, man, not help him. Like, I'm not going to be around to help you. You're going to have to learn to navigate yourself. And she ain't cut him no breaks, man. She ain't cut him no breaks. She ain't help him. He was calling her mama, mama. And she just like, man, listen. And I feel like, that's what we need to do as parents, because these kids, man, with this entitlement is ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous. I just think about what I'm doing wrong as a parent. Not really wrong, but like, what are we missing? Where did the breakdown come from? with these children, because if something happens to us, they just can't deal with anything. They can't deal with rejection, and if they can't make it, and you know, this, that, and the third. So I think it's something to really think about, and something to, not take for granted. Don't take for granted that you'll be here um, until your child is grown or your children are grown. It's our duty as parents to make sure, whether we're here or we're not, that our children grow up to thrive as, healthy, happy adults, and that the world isn't fair. So nobody's going to treat you the way, mommy and daddy treat you. So I don't know. It's just something to think about. Something I think about all the time. Um, Something I talk about with my daughter often. Um, she's dealt with death in the family already. Her parents, we're older, so our parents are older. She had her father is the youngest out of five, so his siblings are older, and he has a big family, and she's dealt with death, and I've seen how it's affected her, but I think that because I've talked to her openly about it, she has like an understanding about it. So, you know, I feel as though your spirituality should be a choice that you make, because at the end of the day, she is my daughter, but she's not me, and I was given the privilege to choose what felt right to my soul, to my gut. So I feel as though she should have that choice too. I do study and practice. Well, I'm not practicing as much as I should, but I'm a Buddhist, and you know, I don't make her do anything. If she wants to, it's her choice. But she's pretty well versed in Buddhism. She's pretty well versed in as a Jehovah's Witness, because that's how her father was raised, and his mother, teaches her things. So I just pray that that she's strong, and she has a lion spirit. She's fearless, and she just is really proactive with her happiness, no matter who's on this earth with her, whether it's her parents or whether it's just her. I just want her to be a strong individual who really strives to be happy, and who experiences, some true happiness. And as it relates to my girlfriend Kylie, I think about her a lot, and I've just learned some valuable lessons, through her life and through her death. And you know, she was a sweet girl, man. She just wanted to be in a relationship, but she held things in. And I used to always say to we had a mutual friend who was her best friend. That's how I met her. That she was going to worry herself to death. And that's literally what she did. She worried about stuff, and held on to it, and thought about it, and would get sad and sad. And that shit manifested in her gut. And she got fucking colon cancer, and she died from that shit. So, if you have anything that you're holding on to, or, you think is so bad, man, get a professional, talk to somebody, let that shit out, because your thoughts mean something. The way you think, it means something. It's very, very important, and we take it for granted. Um, your mind and your body is connected. It's one. It's one, and the mind is a very, very powerful thing. Your mind can manifest shit that you probably wouldn't think it could. If you see a person, I said this in one of my old episodes, last episodes, that people who have like mental illness, and you'll see them on a hot day with a winter coat on, and you're like, what the fuck? I know they're hot as shit, but you might see them walking and they're not even breaking a sweat. Um, and it's just because that mental is controlling it some way. They tapped into something, and I feel as though you can hold on to something and just be so depressed and down with something that it'll tap into something not positive. It can be a negative thing. And when I was told she had colon cancer, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised, and it tore me up because I'm like, damn. All she had to do is just let shit go. All she had to do is not worry about stuff. All she had to do was like really talk to somebody. And I believe in my heart, so I can't prove it, but I just feel like in my gut, she would still be on this earth. Her son would have a different type of reality. So, you know, learn from my girlfriend, colleague, through her life and her death, man. Talk to your children. I know it's hard, but it's something that needs to be done. And let shit go, man. Let it go. Let it go. Because if I don't know anything, if it's one thing that I do know is that it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get past it, and the shit goes on, man. So that's KoKo's coffee. I hope you like it, girlfriend, and I hope it gave you something to think about.